Hi, Mila?
Yes.
Hello.
Alrighty.
Cell phone charger back here if you need one.
I actually do, thank you.
That's why I have them there.
I was having it charge as I...
Go faster, go faster. The
Well,
gray one is
you know
the
what?
faster.
I always charge it at night, right? I put it
Sure.
right next to me, I charge it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the charger was loose, but I woke up this morning and it was at 20%.
Oh,
and
no.
then I haven't had time to like have it sit and charge like you would at night.
Right.
So I was
That
like,
charger had one job and it just dropped the ball.
well, I think it probably got loose at the
I get it.
the connection site. You know.
Sure.
God forbid anyone can function without a phone.
Right nowadays, it's 2023. We can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Well, thank you for driving me downtown.
Happy to. I am actually from Chicago,
Oh, you are?
and somebody made me go all the way out to Naperville.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're doing me a favor.
Serendipity.
Yeah,
I just got to find someone that lives in Naperville later on tonight.
there you go. And I'm sure it'll happen. There's people around. What I did is I went in Naperville. I went to like downtown Naperville. I went to like this little Asian market they have there with like restaurants in it. And then Uber has this destination mode. So you just go, hey, I'm going back to Chicago. Send me people that are going that way.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm just navigating. It's been like 20 minutes of that already.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
I was going to take the train and then I didn't.
Sure.
Well, I looked at the... I was going to take the train because I thought I didn't want to, even in an Uber, I didn't want to spend an hour and a half.
Sure.
But then I looked and it didn't seem so bad.
Potentially.
The
Yeah,
traffic.
Yeah, traffic's not too bad. It's not until we get closer where it'll be a little bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not too bad.
Well, that's the thing. With the train, I would have had to go into the city and then get an Uber and probably fight whatever traffic is from the train station to the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then I would have had an hour to kill.
Yes, yeah, waiting for the train. I think they let you drink on them now, which is nice. Or maybe they always did, but that's if you drink.
I don't know. I haven't been on it in so long, but
Yeah, me too. I have a car.
I was
Just
like,
so-
well, I mean, it is nice if there's a big event and you don't want to drive, and that
Exactly.
makes for nice. But
Yeah.
I feel like today it might be kind of empty. I don't know.
Yeah, it is and isn't. It's really interesting. There's specific parts of Chicago where the traffic is really, really bad. And then the rest of the city seemed almost abandoned when I was there. Because I was expecting it to be pretty bad. I think tomorrow is going to be worse.
It might rain. It's like dark back there.
It has been sprinkling on and off.
Oh, it has.
Yeah, which is good. It's dissipating the smoke. So I'll take
That
it.
was weird.
Yeah, Canada.
I mean,
what are they
really,
doing?
really weird.
Yeah. But that smoke got so bad that it went to Europe. It like crossed the ocean and went into Europe.
It was just so hazy. I mean, it just,
Oh yeah.
the sun looked weird. The whole thing looked really weird. And I said to my husband, I said, it looks kind of apocalyptic. It's
I was just thinking that, yeah.
it's Tuesday,
Right.
and it was like 6 o'clock in the evening, and the sun is orange, like this weird hazy, and you could look right at it, and it wasn't even
Yeah.
like
You almost
too
couldn't see
bright.
it. Yeah, it was so far. Yeah. Yeah. I grew up in California, so we get like the wildfires every now and then. And it was just like that. I was like, oh yeah, terrible smoke, gray, or that orange clouds in the sky. It was exactly that level of haze. And I was like, I thought I got away from all that, but it followed me.
Yeah, when I was coming down Naperville Road, like one of these long roads,
Yeah.
you don't see the traffic lights. Like
Yeah.
you take for granted how much visibility you normally have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
And then
driving-
Friday was so foggy.
Yes.
Wednesday, I can't remember if it was Wednesday. It was Friday. I
Maybe-
couldn't see anything driving to work.
Yeah, I think Thursday and Fridays were the really bad ones.
And I'm like, is this fog? Is this smoke and fog? What is this?
Oh yeah.
But it was very foggy. It was fog. It was
Yes.
weird.
Yeah, fog, haze, smoke. It was a whole mix of everything, and like you could barely see the buildings and everything like that. You had to
Yeah.
get into downtown to really.
It
see
did
what's
smell
going on.
funny too.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was. Yeah, we had 3 days of it. Even today, some of it is a bit of haze from the smoke, but it's also humidity and
Yeah.
cloud cover. But it's still because the wind keeps changing it. We think it's blowing it away, but then it blows it back. Then it blows it away. Then it blows it back. So it's going back and forth. do for work?
I'm an anesthesiologist.
Oh, very cool.
Thank
How long
you.
have you been doing that?
20 years.
20 years.
A long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting type of medicines. You have to look at the body weight of a person and figure out what's going to put them under without killing them.
Yeah, it's funny because there's no formula to it. There's guidelines, there's, for the most part you would do one anesthetic the same as the other, but everybody's different.
Sure.
And so it's interesting that you can't just look it up and everyone does it the same way. Right? There are many different ways to kind of do it.
Sure. That's interesting.
Yeah, you'll get like 6 anesthesiologists in a room and you'll present a case and you'll get 4 different ways to do it.
Wow.
And everyone will be quite adamant about their way.
Okay. So what's your approach? Do you have any sort of guidance that you use even from experience?
I guess I've always tried to have some finesse about it.
Okay.
I guess. I don't like it to look ugly. Like we call them ugly wake-ups, where you're just like, oh, the patient's just flailing all over. Like, it's just ugly, right?
Oh,
They're waking up and they'll be fine and everything's fine. It just looks ugly.
Sure. Okay.
So I like all this. I like when it's all nice and smooth. Like I just try to do it that way.
Okay. Interesting. And what does that involve? Does that mean like a specific cocktail, a specific proportion?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I definitely tend to use a little bit more than others. And I feel like I definitely personalize things more.
Okay.
Whereas certain colleagues would, it's kind of like the same with everybody. And you're like, you can't, like, all of a sudden they're having trouble on like a 16-year-old, right? And I do pediatrics and they're just like, oh my God, a 16-year-old took so much. I had to give him so much. And I'm like, they're 16.
Yeah. High metabolism.
You were giving them drugs that you normally give your 80-year-old hip patients. Like,
oh, yeah.
you can't.
Sure.
Right? And so then they forget, like, they're like, oh, that's right. Like, you have to know these are like strong, like that kind of stuff.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. So you focus on you said you
I did a
specialize-
pediatric fellowship.
Ah, okay. And so that's 18 and under pediatric?
Yes. I mean, typically, an 18-year-old most people can take care of. It's just, it's mostly that some of, like, the younger kids obviously are pediatrics, but then you're like, okay, 16, but sometimes they have diseases that are childhood, right?
Okay.
Like, a 16-year-old doesn't have heart disease, usually.
Right, that's very true.
Right?
Yeah.
Or they're not a smoker with lung disease. So they have, and so that's when they, it's usually a pediatric surgeon. If it's a pediatric surgeon, it should be a pediatric anesthesiologist for the most part.
Sure. Well, that makes sense. So so you'd be dealing with slightly different things, or at least have less types of diseases you're dealing with.
Yeah, different ones, right? Like this,
Sure.
like, adults get their gallbladders out all the time, but kids rarely do. And if they do, it's because most likely they have sickle cell anemia. And so that's not a disease that adults are usually, like, adult guys are, the adult anesthesiologists are used to, because it's a younger disease.
Sure.
They might see somebody who's older that has it, but it's usually the young ones that get affected.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so that kind of a thing,
See, I'm 38, so that means, am I geriatric yet?
No.
Okay. I might feel like that way. It's on my lower back. We'll see. I think all that stuff is fascinating. Like how the human body works, the mechanisms of it, how it changes throughout aging. Like, what is it called? The genome and the epigenome, right? And how those all play together. It's so interesting to me. It's very fascinating stuff. Just to see how people are, like that machine, that complex machine. I work in IT when I'm not doing this, but it's like so boring compared to like humans and how much machinery and mechanics and all that stuff is involved. Did you want to go into anesthesiology right out of the gate when you went to med school? Or you're like, this is what I want to...
No, I wanted to. What did I want to do? I think it was OB.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to be an obstetrician.
Yeah, working with child care or birth and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then I was like, you know what? I don't really like it as much as I thought I would.
I don't like kids as much as I want. I want to put them under so I don't have to deal with them. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so that's, it's one of those things you think you know it, and then when you go to med school and you rotate through all the specialties as a med student. So, you do 6 weeks of medicine or 8 weeks of surgery and then 8 weeks of, obstetrics and gynecology. So you kind of go through all these things.
Sure. I had no idea they did that. That makes sense.
You do they're called, so the first 2 years of medical school are all book learning. And then you do it's called your clinicals. So for the second 2 years, you go to the hospital, and you rotate through all this stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so it's basically hands-on training now, right?
Yeah.
You took what you learned in your books, and now you're going to the hospital and seeing how you can apply it.
Sure.
But it also helps you understand where do I see myself, right?
Yeah.
And so you rotate through so many specialties, and then you get to pick some electives. But like you have to do the main ones, like pediatrics and surgery and ICU and ER, the main ones you have to do. So ours was only like a 2-week elective in anesthesia, and I liked it, but the physician that I was working with, really great guy, and he was the one who kind of became my mentor, but he just said, I really think you should do this. I think you'd be great at it. And I was like, what? It didn't even occur to me.
Sure. Okay.
And he just said, why don't, you only done 2 weeks here, why don't you go to we were at a smaller hospital. He's like, I was in Detroit, he's like, go to downtown Detroit, do an elective in a big hospital, and, see how you like it.
Sure.
So I did a 4-week anesthesia elective at the big hospital.
Okay.
And after 2 weeks, I was like, okay, I like this a lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So it was just to try it out, and after getting your hands on it and doing it, you said this is something I actually enjoy doing. That's pretty cool.
Never thought I would do it though.
Sure. And so if anesthesia wasn't the thing you were doing, what type of medicine do you think you would be working in?
If I wasn't doing anesthesia?
Yeah, say, I don't know, people didn't use drugs anymore. What would you do?
Oh, I don't know if I'd be in medicine. I don't know. I can't see myself doing anything other than anesthesia, so.
Wow.
I mean, I liked surgery, but the hours are... Although the hours for anesthesia are pretty much like surgery, because when they're doing surgery, you're there.
Yeah, you gotta be there for it.
I don't know. Maybe I would have done obstetrics.
Sure, potentially.
Because that's the nice thing about anesthesia. You get to do a little bit of everything.
Right, because you're there for some of the process.
Where is this thing taking you?
On to 88.
Oh.
And then from 88, it'll be to 290, probably.
Like, we passed the ramp to 88 was like 3 miles ago.
Yeah, it had me go on a different one, which is so
Like,
odd.
you could have just taken 355 and just boom onto 88.
Yeah.
Like, back there. I'm like, what is it doing?
Every now and then it has me go weird routes. Like, sometimes I'll have it used
This is a
Waze
little
app
odd.
instead. Yeah. And
Well, that you would pass something right by.
Right, and then go a different way. Maybe for some reason it calculates the mileage as opposed to the time, because you probably know the time one a little better. Where like, oh, this is just a faster route.
Yeah, because you get on there quicker.
Exactly. And wait till we get downtown. This just stops working. So I switch it over to Waze once we get closer usually.
Oh, so this is the Uber one.
Yeah, the
like
Uber.
They have their own
yeah,
software.
exactly. And then they're like, well, you can use other apps if you want. And I would say 90% of the time it's good, but downtown Chicago, it just doesn't work. It just can't figure it out.
Waze is your best bet.
Yeah. Which I hear Waze is going away.
It is?
Yeah, Google bought them like years and years and years ago, and then they said recently, they're like, we're done updating it, it's getting ready to be absorbed.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna be pretty sad about it.
And now we have to use Google Maps?
Yeah, basically. But it's, basically they were the same thing. I don't really understand what the difference is nowadays, because Google and Waze were essentially the same for a while. So I don't know. I don't understand the logic behind what they're doing. Is Google Maps decent, or do you use Waze instead?
I usually use Waze or Apple. Like if I need something quickly, I'll use Apple Maps. But if we're like on a road trip, we do tend to use Waze. And I think sometimes it's better for if you have to get off the highway because there's an accident or something.
Right.
I feel like Waze was always better. But maybe that's just, you know, it was the first cool thing and everyone was using it. And then you just get used to it and you trust it.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was great for a very long time, especially
Yeah,
when I lived in LA, and it was like, this is the thing to use here.
I was gonna say all my evidence is anecdotal.
Yeah. I feel like it's accurate. Yeah.
I know people loved Waze.
Yeah. That's why Google bought them. So there we go. There's a reason. So did you grow up out here in the Midwest?
I did. We were in Munster, Indiana for a while.
Oh, okay.
And now here.
Interesting. I used to do IT for a bank in Munster. Not a bank, a church. It was like the mega church that Michael Jackson's family goes to.
Oh, isn't that like Gary or Hammond or?
Where is it?
Is it in Munster?
It is in Munster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's right there, and I forget the name of it, but it was a giant. The church had its own Starbucks in it, which was nuts. And yeah, very interesting. But yeah, so I would go out there a bit. They were interesting because they're like right on the border, right?
I've been to this restaurant, so I want to see what the menu is before I get there.
Smart to plan ahead. What's the restaurant? What's the restaurant?
Fig and Olive.
Oh, Fig and Olive. Okay, I've heard of it. I've seen it
Okay,
around.
it's my friend's her 50th birthday, so it looks beautiful.
That's good. Yeah, it definitely looks nice. That's the one thing I love about doing this is I get to drop people off at places and go, oh, that's a good one. I should know.
Yeah, you put it on your list.
Yeah, you ever watch that movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey, where he has to say yes to everything?
Oh yeah.
Right? So,
he was like a lawyer.
Yeah, or that was Liar Liar. But yeah, Yes Man, he just had to say yes to whatever somebody
Oh, okay.
said. So I drive Uber like that, where I'm just like yes to every ride, and then when I get hungry, I stop and I go, I've never been here before. Let's find a place to eat. So it's all for food. That's it.
They said it's a Mediterranean menu.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that means.
Mediterranean, subtly Greek, and then
Yeah, there's some
Middle
fava
Eastern.
beans in here, and I'm not sure I want to try tuna meatballs.
Ooh.
No.
Do they even have tuna in the Mediterranean Sea? I don't think.
Yeah, I don't
think
know.
they're
I'm
from
not
there.
sure if this is like Mediterranean or Italian. I can't tell.
Let's see.
It does seem more Greekish. They have brunch there too.
Oh, that's interesting.
French toast, steak and eggs. Ooh, Mediterranean baked eggs. That sounds nice.
Interesting.
Different types of burgers. I would go here for brunch.
I've never heard of a baked egg dish. That's very interesting.
Yeah, usually it's like with like tomato, like, you know, almost like like stewed tomatoes, but like a nice, you know, flavorful tomatoey type broth with, you know, tomatoes and whatever. And then they crack the eggs, and then they just put it in the oven.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that does sound really good. Because I'm
what do
picturing
they
where they
do
like
with-
hard boil it in a sauce.
No, they'll be soft.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that sounds really good. All right, I'm gonna have to stop there for brunch then.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, tomato sauce, some vegetables, basil, and then they give you some bread and you kind of scoop it all together.
Oh, that sounds great. See how hazy the buildings look still?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still haze. It's still smoky down here.
Yep.
Look at that. Oh, it doesn't really say the air quality. It says 73.
Yeah, okay.
Never even looked at it before.
Yeah, I had to learn because of it. So it got up to like 212, which was
Yeah,
danger
that was
zone.
the worst day.
Yeah. And then 30 is like the safe and average number. So 70 is like bad, but only if you have respiratory issues.
Okay.
Above 100, 150, that's when it's like, go outside. should help with the smoke, but
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely still lingering. I mean, you probably get we got to the city in about 35 minutes. Not
oh
too
yeah, this
bad.
wasn't bad. Yeah, not bad actually. Yeah, I definitely expected it to be a lot worse. NASCAR really didn't seem that bad. Taylor Swift, it was way worse.
Oh, we didn't go. No way, no how.
Yeah, a lot of people said, "I wanna."
That must have been crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts. Super bad traffic. Just avoid the city basically as best I could is what I did. But see, right around here is where the actual NASCAR is. So what the track. So they shut down a bunch of main streets here, and that's why.
When was that? Was that like from 9 or whatever, 8 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, kind of?
Basically, but it's actually been since they really shut everything down. They started Wednesday, and then yesterday is when like they did the most of like, okay, everything's walled off, and they're just gonna leave it that way until Sunday, Monday,
Oh,
because there's another one happening tomorrow as well
so they're racing on like
on the street.
on the street.
On the street, yeah.
That is weird.
It's never been done before, is what my understanding is.
Through the
It's
city streets.
Yes, yeah. This is the first time it's ever happened.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm like, what happens if somebody crashes into a building? Because there's no big walls
I
or any of that stuff.
just the whole thing. But you know, they do it in Europe, right? They
Yeah.
have, I don't know, Monte Carlo, whatever those, and those streets were so narrow.
Very true. Very true.
But those were Indy cars, I think. They weren't
They are.
NASCARs.
Exactly.
They were smaller, tiny cars.
Smaller, tiny cars, and I think that definitely has something to do
So
with
like
that.
where is what street? Like where is it?
From what I've seen, Lakeshore Drive,
Oh,
Columbus.
of course, Lakeshore Drive. Yes,
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
Columbus and like that downtown area, right around there is all.
Like how do you? You know, because they never stop. It's not like they can stop and take a right turn, right?
Exactly.
So from
Yeah.
Lakeshore, how do you make a loop? Like what exactly?
Yeah. No, and I honestly I have no idea. And I have to see, because it could be, and I really hope not, because I live in Edgewater. I'm right where Lakeshore Drive ends. So what I'm hoping they're not doing, but they might be doing, is where they say, okay, go down Lakeshore to where Hollywood Boulevard is up there in North Chicago, because that'll loop you into the city. Because I noticed I started seeing porta potties everywhere, and I was like, what are all these porta potties doing up north, just around? And it might be because they're going to have to do a big loop around the city. So I don't know. I should have looked up the route. I still haven't done that yet. Yeah. Here they say Michigan Avenue closed, right? That's a big one.
Oh. Yeah, Fig and Olive it's on State. Well, what is it? It's
Something like that. Yeah, Oak Street.
yeah.
And you're the northern part of downtown, so it's like I think out of the way of everything.
We used to come downtown so much more. I still can't. I look back and I would bring my kids, like me and my 3 kids, and they were like 8 and 10 and 9, you know.
Sure.
And we would be walking around. Oh, it's 9:30, hot summer night, 10 o'clock at night, getting ice cream.
Sure.
And everyone was out just walking around.
Oh yeah, that's Chicago.
And I didn't think twice about it.
Right.
And now I'm like,
Really?
I'm not walking around at 10 o'clock. I don't care how many people are out. Like,
Oh, that's interesting. Honestly, I think it's still safe, especially if you're northern side of the city.
we were kind of like where Nordstrom was, you know, where
Yeah,
Uno's
Miracle
is.
Mile,
and-
all that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah. Honestly, that's a great, very safe neighborhood.
it is. And then I just feel like in the last few years it's been, oh, hey, flash mob. Everyone's going to get stampeded. Like, that stuff just didn't like, that was
True.
unheard of.
True. Well, what they did is, I don't know if you've seen it recently on like Michigan Avenue, there's just police all over. Police
Yeah,
cars
I mean,
and
so
police
yes,
all
now
over.
there's that.
Yeah, so there's a big police presence there still. And I think for that reason, because they wanted people to still come to downtown, to still shop, to still do all that. But like here, around here, I wouldn't be out here 10 o'clock at night.
That's it. And this
Yeah.
shouldn't, there's no reason why it isn't safe. There's
Exactly.
restaurants everywhere.
Yeah,
But yeah, like I said, it should be no problem.
yeah. No. Yeah, I always say south of Randolph, basically, after 8 p.m., I won't bother with it.
But so many people live there.
So many.
Like
but, yeah.
high-end condos and, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Well, obviously Randolph can, you go a little bit more west on it, then
Yeah.
it's like the north or the
And-
west loop, I guess.
Exactly. And West Loop is great. West Loop after that. It's really the downtown, because most of downtown shuts down after 5 on Friday. It's just living, and there's
Yeah,
nothing here.
most of
There's
these are.
restaurants on Wacker that
Yeah.
are all open, but these are all
You're right, these
just
are all
offices.
office buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're in the train station? Doesn't the Metro drop you off around here somewhere?
The Metro drops you off at Ogilvy, which is
Oh.
West Loop,
Okay.
right at the end of West Loop.
Because that's a little bit creepy when
Yes.
that's why also I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I get off the train at 6:30 and there's nobody there. It's
Yeah,
kind of dead.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, this is Randolph. It's over there. The Ogilvy station is over there.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
kind of in a dead zone. Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
You would think there'd be more around there, but
I know. Yeah, I used to work at a tech company in this building here. They laid everybody off at Christmas, like the week.
Oh.
Yeah, right? I had already quit way before then.
okay.
Sent a letter to the CEO, this place is awful, blah, blah, blah. And then, and then they went and did that after. I was like, no surprise, I'm so glad I quit that place. Yeah. But there was, nice restaurants, but same thing. After 5, empty, unless you were here on Wacker.
I do miss living downtown.
Sure. Yeah, I really like it. I'm in Edgewater, so I'm 2 blocks from
Okay.
the lake. And it's like, you forget you're in the city, but if you want to be in the city, it's 15 minutes. It's nice. So you have 3 kids?
I do.
How old are they now?
17, almost 16, and 14.
Ooh, wow. Right there, the fun teen
Oh,
years.
so much fun.
What are they, boys, girls?
A son and 2 daughters.
Son and 2 daughters. What's the easier one between
My
the 2?
son.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Okay. No question. That was very quick. You're just like, yeah.
I mean, girls, they're a lot.
They
And I'm
are.
a girl.
Sure.
We're a lot. Then there's 2 of them.
Oh, yeah. Do they kind of gang up and want the same stuff, or are they
Well,
very
yeah, because
different?
the 2 girls are only 16 months apart.
Oh, okay. And so do they get along? They're friends?
Yes, they
Okay.
do. I mean, they hang out all the time. Yes, they
That's
are very
great.
close.
That's great, because
But
you can go
when,
either way.
when
Yeah.
you're that close also, you can have some serious blowouts.
Oh, have to. Yeah, especially teen years. My daughter's 9.5 now, so I got like 3 years where she still likes me, and then
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes from there.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right in the middle of it.
You have to change with them.
That's okay. That's great advice. You have to change with them. Okay.
Yeah, because, you're what people say. You got to meet them halfway. I mean,
Sure.
so my husband grew up, he has 2 brothers. It was like a house of men.
Okay.
And his mother passed when he was young. And so
Oh.
it was just his dad and 2 other boys. Like, there's 4 men in a house, right?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
when the girls were younger, he was fine. And now he hears them bicker. And he's like, I don't understand why they're fighting all the time. I'm like, you don't understand how they can be like, you need to go to girl class. Like, you can't.
Bickering's just part of it then.
That's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
And then he'll go up there. He's like, what's going on? Why are you guys upset? And they're like, we're not upset, Dad. Why? What are you talking about? Or
Wow. Oh, that's interesting. Gosh, 4 boys, or a dad and 3 boys. They must have had the dirtiest bathroom.
oh God, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. But yeah, there should be probably like a how to parent teenage daughters class. Like, here's what to do, here's what to think for men specifically. Somebody should do that.
You know, it's a struggle because no parent wants to say no,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
always want to say yes.
Right. I'm terrible at this saying no. I'm just like, yeah, here, how much do you need? Here you go.
And I mean, there will be times where, and it happened to me last week, where I was like, you have to go do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's 16, almost 16, but it's like crying and snot running out of her, like just absolutely breaking down.
Oh, no.
Right? I mean, just the theatrics of it, you're like, come on.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I was thinking in my head, like, just you got to put your foot, like, you can't break on this one.
Sure. Okay.
Right? And then, you know, and it was just, what did she want? Oh, it was a soccer camp that she needed to volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, look, you're not doing anything this summer. You don't even have a regular job. You can't just sit home every day. So volunteer for your soccer coach. Like, get out there.
Yeah.
You know, and she didn't want to go, but she didn't want to look me in the face and say, I don't want to go.
Sure. Okay.
Right? So it was, well, he hasn't called me back and I don't even know what to do. Should I wear my cleats? I'm like, it's a soccer camp. Sure, you should wear your cleats. This isn't hard. Like,
Right.
and it was just such a battle to get her in the car and to just get her out on the field.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'll be back in an hour and a half to pick you up. And she got back into the car, you know, a little later, and she was calm, and we were driving home, and I was like, what was all that?
Sure.
No. So she thought that throwing a fit was,
The way to get out of it.
and I was like, you can't do this. This is not
Sure.
normal behavior. Right? Like, this might work when you're 2, but
Right. And I wonder, is that because that's what development is as a kid? You cry, you throw a tantrum.
well,
you get
yeah,
your way.
of course. And right there, I mean, she's 15. She
Mhm.
doesn't have a developed brain yet. You know,
Right.
they don't know. Because, well, she also knew if she said, well, Mom, I don't want to go, I was going to say, well, that's really irrelevant.
Okay.
She knew exactly what I was going to say, right?
Right.
Like, look, people have to do things they don't want to do all the time.
All the time, yeah.
That's what's called being an adult. So
Right.
get in the car.
Yeah.
She didn't want to hear that, right? So
Right. Yeah, and it's like, here's what you're getting ready for. This is the thing. There's going to be stuff you don't want to do that you just have to do as an adult.
yeah. And it would have been really easy for me to say, like, fine, don't go. But
Right. And that's, I guess, the question. You have to pick the battle of,
You
is
do.
this the thing to make them bend on it, or let them have their way?
yeah. So I'm just like, you know, and I was exhausted after it. Like, you know, it's 20 minutes, 30
Oh,
minutes of
man.
like, you're just emotionally exhausted.
Oh no, yeah, I bet. It sounds difficult. Oh man, I'm gonna be so bad at that.
It'll be really fun when they text you in all caps. That's even better. They text you in all caps, and you're like, are you seriously yelling at me through text?
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna get a lot of those for sure.
Yeah.
Oh no.
All caps.
I'm lucky, and some people said she so far has been the chillest kid. Like, no tantrums, no meltdowns.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, they were great when they were younger.
Okay. See, somebody said maybe I'll get lucky, but maybe I know how terrible I was as a teenager.
It's gonna happen, but it's okay. But I mean, for the most part, they're great. Like, they're responsible, and
Okay. Okay. So you just have to grow with them. You have to change with them.
you got to change with them. You can't be stubborn, and
Okay.
because you're certainly not going to be the same person. You know what I mean? Like, you're.
Yeah. I hope not. Yeah.
Well, they're changing, so you have to change with them.
Right. You have to grow, and you have to, like, okay. And I try, and even now, I try and have that viewpoint of, like, how would I approach this if I was in this scenario as an adult or as a kid? Am I going to get benefit from pushing forward this and doing this and exposing myself to it? Or is it something that, like, in 10 years from now, neither one of us is going to think this mattered? Was it important?
Correct.
Yeah, so I guess I just have to pick the battles and stuff like that.
I'm hoping this place has. I feel like I hope they have good bread. I haven't had like some nice,
Yeah, they're
good
Greek.
quality restaurant bread. They better have
Yeah.
good bread. They're Mediterranean, right? They better have
Yes. Like a nice warm focaccia.
whatever.
Let's
Yes.
hope
If it's
so.
warm, it's even better.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully they're not like, oh, we're Greek, here's some pita bread. Like,
No, I
they're
don't
really,
want
yeah, that'll get that out of here. No,
Yeah,
I don't want that
exactly.
at all. Don't get me wrong, pitas are great, but not at a fancy restaurant, nice restaurant. I'm rooting for it. Hopefully you get some good.
Oh, wow, right on time.